Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going on an adventure into the world of animal toxins.
That's right, we're diving deep into the science behind these potent substances, the creatures that wield them, and the effects they have on their victims.
Yeah, we've got a stack of fascinating research here, from the basics of venom to some truly incredible examples of nature's chemical warfare.
It's like we're going on a safari through the animal kingdom, but instead of binoculars, we're armed with microscopes, ready to uncover the secrets of venom.
So buckle up, because we're about to explore a world that's both terrifying and totally amazing. Okay, let's start with the basics. What exactly are animal toxins?
Well, think of toxins as nature's carefully crafted poisons. Each one is a complex cocktail of molecules, mostly proteins and enzymes, designed to disrupt the normal functioning of the body.
Oh, you know how we always talk about protein being essential for building muscles? Well, venom takes those same building blocks, proteins and enzymes, and uses them in a much more sinister way to dismantle an organism's systems. It's like a molecular sabotage mission.
That's a great way to put it. So it's not just one single poison, it's a whole bunch of these tiny molecules working together to cause chaos.
Exactly.
And these molecules have specific targets within the body. They're like microscopic assassins, each with its own mission.
So where exactly are these assassins targeting?
One of the most common targets is the acetylcholine receptor. Think of these receptors as the communication hubs of your nervous system. They're responsible for transmitting signals between your brain and your muscles.
So if a toxin blocks those hubs, it's essentially cutting off communication, causing paralysis.
That's pretty terrifying.
And what other targets are there?
Another crucial target is the neuromuscular junction, which is the point where nerves connect to muscles.
Yeah.
Toxins that disrupt this junction essentially sever the connection between the brain and the muscles, leading to severe paralysis.
It's like cutting the puppet strings, rendering the victim helpless.
Precisely. Then you have potassium channels, which are essential for regulating the electrical activity of cells. Toxins that interfere with these channels can disrupt nerve impulses and heart function, causing a whole range of problems.
So we've got these communication hubs, the nerve-muscle connections, and the electrical systems of the body, all under attack by these cleverly designed toxins.
It's like a microscopic battleground inside the body.
And the outcome of that battle often depends on the type of venom, the amount injected, and the victim's own physiology. Now, you mentioned different types of venom. Can you break those down for us?
Of course. We can categorize snake venom into three main types: neurotoxins, hemotoxins, and myotoxins. Think of it like this. Neurotoxins are hackers, shutting down your nervous system. Hemotoxins are saboteurs, causing internal chaos. And myotoxins are demolition crews, targeting your muscles.
So it's not just a simple you get bitten, you die scenario. It's much more complex than that.
Exactly. And each snake family tends to specialize in a particular type of venom.
Give us some examples.
Snakes in the Elapidae family, which includes cobras, kraits, and mambas, are primarily neurotoxic. Vipers, belonging to the Viperidae family, are mostly hemotoxic. And sea snakes, part of the Hydrophiae family, tend to have myotoxic venom.
That's fascinating. So the type of snake involved can tell us a lot about the potential effects of the venom.
Exactly, and understanding those differences can be crucial in treating snake bites effectively.
Now let's shift our focus to a place known for its incredible snake diversity, Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the snakes of Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka is a biodiversity hotspot, especially when it comes to snakes. Out of the 96 snake species found on the island, over 50% are endemic, meaning they're found nowhere else in the world.
Wow, that's incredible. But I'm guessing not all those snakes are venomous, right?
You're right. About 70% of Sri Lanka's snake species are non-venomous. But even with those odds, snake bites are still a significant concern.
How significant are we talking?
Approximately 37,000 snake bites are reported annually, leading to around 200 deaths.
Those are some alarming numbers. Which snakes are responsible for most of those bites?
The majority of fatalities are caused by three highly venomous species: cobras, Russell's vipers, and kraits.
We'll have to delve deeper into those snakes later on. But you mentioned that the death rate from snake bites has been declining over time. What's attributed to that positive trend?
Several factors have contributed, primarily improved medical care and the availability of anti-venom.
That's good news. It sounds like there's hope for those who are unlucky enough to get bitten.
Definitely. But before we get into treatment, let's talk about the immediate impact of a snake bite. What kind of clinical effects can we expect to see?
Well, the immediate reaction is often fear and shock, which is understandable given the situation. Then you start to see local effects at the bite site, such as pain, swelling, and blistering.
I imagine those local effects can be pretty intense, especially with certain types of venom.
They can be. Some venoms can even cause tissue death, known as necrosis.
That sounds gruesome. Are there any early warning signs that a bite is serious?
Definitely. Significant swelling of the bitten limb. More than half of the limb is a red flag that you're dealing with, a significant envenomation.
So if you see that kind of swelling, it's time to get medical help immediately.
Absolutely. And beyond those local effects, there are systemic effects that can affect the entire body.
What kind of systemic effects are we talking about?
There are nonspecific symptoms like vomiting, a drop in blood pressure, collapse, and shock. But then there are also specific effects that depend on the type of venom involved.
Can you give us some examples of those specific effects?
For instance, crate venom can cause ptosis, which is drooping of the eyelid as an early symptom. And if left untreated, it can progress to respiratory failure.
That's a very specific and potentially deadly effect.
Yeah.
What about the other venom types? What kind of systemic effects do they cause?
Viper venom often causes bleeding disorders and can lead to kidney failure. And sea snake venom, being myotoxic, can cause severe muscle pain, known as myalgia, and can also damage the kidneys, sometimes fatally.
So it's not just about treating the bite wound, it's about managing these potentially life-threatening systemic effects as well.
You got it. Early recognition and treatment are key to improving outcomes for snakebite victims. Well, this has been incredibly informative. We've covered a lot of ground, from the basic science of animal toxins to the clinical effects of snake bites. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's take a closer look at some of the most notable venomous snakes in Sri Lanka.
Sounds like a plan. Are you ready to meet some of these slithering assassins?
Yeah, bet. Let's start with the infamous cobra. What makes this snake so iconic?
The Indian cobra, scientifically known as Naja naja naja, is perhaps the most recognizable venomous snake in Sri Lanka. It's known for its distinctive hood, which it spreads when threatened, making it appear larger and more intimidating.
I've definitely seen pictures of that hood. It's a pretty impressive display.
It is, and that hood is a warning sign you don't want to ignore. Cobras are active during the daytime, which is unusual for many venomous snakes. And they're found throughout Sri Lanka, often near human settlements.
So encounters with cobras aren't exactly uncommon.
Unfortunately, no. And their venom is potent, containing both neurotoxins and cardiotoxins.
Cardiotoxin, so it can affect the heart as well.
Yes, cobra venom can disrupt heart function, adding to its danger. And while cobra venom is primarily neurotoxic, it can also cause significant local tissue damage at the bite site.
So it's a double whammy of pain and potential paralysis.
You could say that. And cobras are known for their large size, reaching up to 220 centimeters in length. Their venom yield can also be substantial, sometimes exceeding 1,500 milligrams in a single bite.
That's a lot of venom. Are there any other interesting facts about cobras we should know?
One interesting thing is that young cobras are considered even more dangerous than adults. They're more alert, more excitable, and tend to strike repeatedly. And they're born with venom, so there's no grace period with these youngsters.
Yikes. It's definitely wise to give cobras of any age a wide berth. Now let's move on to another highly venomous snake in Sri Lanka, the Ceylon crate. What can you tell us about this serpent?
The Ceylon crate, scientifically known as Bungarus ceylonicus, has a rather sinister reputation. It prefers cool, moist habitats and is primarily found in the wet and intermediate zones of Sri Lanka.
So not a fan of the dry, arid regions?
Not really. And unlike the cobra, the Ceylon crate is nocturnal, meaning it's most active at night. This makes encounters with humans more likely to occur inside or around homes.
That doesn't sound very comforting. How can you identify a Ceylon crate?
It's a striking snake with a distinctive black and white banding pattern on its body. These bands extend all the way to the ventral surface, which is a key characteristic.
So if you see a snake with black and white bands all the way around its body, it's a good bet it's a Ceylon crate.
That's a safe assumption. And another identifying feature is its enlarged vertebral scales, which are the scales along its back.
Okay, so distinctive banding and enlarged vertebral scales. Got it. But what about its venom? How dangerous is the Ceylon crate's bite?
The Ceylon crate is highly venomous, with venom that's primarily neurotoxic, similar to the cobra. However, unlike cobra bites, crate bites often produce very little local reaction.
So you might not even know you've been bitten at first.
Exactly. The bite itself might be painless, and there might be minimal swelling. But the venom is working its way through the body, targeting the nervous system.
That sounds incredibly dangerous. How long does it take for the symptoms to show up?
It can vary, but the neurotoxic effects can manifest within a few hours.
And those effects are primarily related to paralysis.
Yes, paralysis is a major concern with crate bites. It can affect the respiratory muscles, leading to breathing difficulties and potentially death.
So even though the bite itself might not be dramatic, the consequences can be dire.
You got it. The Ceylon crate is responsible for a significant number of snakebite fatalities in Sri Lanka, accounting for about 17% of deaths caused by crates, including the Indian crate.
Okay, we've covered the cobra and the Ceylon crate. Two highly venomous snakes with different habits and venom effects. But there's another snake we need to discuss, one that's known for being both widespread and particularly dangerous, the Russell's viper. What can you tell us about this fearsome serpent?
The Russell's viper, scientifically known as Vipera russelli, is a snake you definitely don't want to mess with. It's found throughout Sri Lanka, and its adaptability to various habitats, including areas near human habitation, makes encounters more likely.
So it's a common snake, and it's comfortable living near humans. That's not a good combination.
You're right. And unlike the alert cobra or the nocturnal crate, the Russell's viper is known for being rather sluggish.
So it's more likely to lie in wait rather than actively hunt.
Yes, it tends to rely on camouflage and ambush tactics, but don't let its sluggish nature fool you. If provoked, the Russell's viper can strike with incredible speed and force.
And I'm guessing its venom is nothing to sneeze at either.
Definitely not. The Russell's viper has a particularly potent venom that's both hemotoxic and neurotoxic.
So it combines the worst of both worlds. What kind of effects can we expect from a Russell's viper bite?
Well, the hemotoxic components can cause severe bleeding disorders, affecting blood clotting, and leading to internal bleeding and organ damage.
And the neurotoxic components.
They can cause paralysis, similar to cobra and crate venom, but the combination of both hemotoxic and neurotoxic effects makes the Russell's viper a particularly dangerous species.
Like a 1-2 punch of venom.
Yeah.
Are there any other identifying features of the Russell's viper?
Yes, it has a distinctive triangular head that's wider than its neck, and its body is covered in a pattern of brown ovals, each surrounded by a black border.
So it's a fairly easy snake to identify.
Yes, its markings and head shape make it quite distinctive, and its size is also impressive, averaging around 90 centimeters in length.
Wow, this snake sounds like a serious threat. How common are Russell's viper bites in Sri Lanka?
Unfortunately, they're quite common. The Russell's viper is responsible for a significant number of snakebite fatalities in Sri Lanka, accounting for about 40% of all snakebite deaths.
40%. That's a staggering statistic.
It is, and it highlights the importance of awareness and caution when it comes to snakes, especially in areas where Russell's vipers are known to occur.
Well, this has been a sobering but fascinating look at some of the venomous snakes of Sri Lanka. We've learned about the cobra, the Ceylon crate, and the Russell's viper. 3 very different snakes with equally dangerous venom.
It's important to remember that these are just a few of the venomous creatures found in Sri Lanka. There are other snakes, as well as spiders, scorpions, and even marine animals that can pose a threat.
You're absolutely right. We can't forget about those other venomous creatures. But before we delve into that fascinating world, we've got to move on to part 2. Welcome back to the deep dive. It's like we're on a global expedition, uncovering the secrets of nature's chemical arsenal.
So far, we've encountered some pretty impressive venomous snakes.
But, as you mentioned, there's a whole world of other creatures out there packing their own unique toxins.
That's right. And let's be honest, some of these creatures can give us the creeps. So why don't we start with a group that many people find particularly unsettling? Arthropods.
Okay, I'm ready to face my fears. What can you tell us about the venomous world of insects, spiders, and scorpions?
Well, when it comes to arthropods, we often think of stings rather than bites. And those stings can deliver venom that can cause a range of reactions, from localized pain and swelling to life-threatening systemic effects.
So it's not just about the initial ouch factor. It's about what that venom does once it's inside the body.
Precisely. And some of the most common culprits are bees, wasps, hornets, and ants. They all belong to the order Hymenoptera. and their venoms can trigger allergic reactions, even in people who aren't typically allergic.
Wait, so even if you've never had a bad reaction to a bee sting before, you could still have a severe reaction?
It's possible some people can develop sensitivity to these venoms over time, and that sensitivity can lead to anaphylaxis, which is a life-threatening allergic response.
That's scary. What are the signs of anaphylaxis, and what should you do if it happens?
The symptoms can vary, but they often include difficulty breathing, swelling of the face and throat, hives, a drop in blood pressure, and even loss of consciousness. It's a medical emergency that requires immediate attention.
So if you or someone you're with starts experiencing those symptoms after an insect sting, call 911 right away.
Absolutely. And if the person has an epinephrine auto-injector, like an EpiPen, administer it immediately. Epinephrine can help counteract the allergic reaction and buy valuable time until medical help arrives.
Okay, so bee, wasp, and hornet stings can be serious business, even for those who haven't had allergic reactions before. Now, what about ants? Are there any particularly nasty ant species we should be wary of?
Fire ants are notorious for their painful stings. Their venom contains alkaloids, which cause intense burning and itching, hence the name fire ant.
I've heard some people say, it feels like your skin is on fire.
I can imagine how unpleasant that would be.
Are there any other arthropods we should be wary of?
Let's move on to spiders. Another group that often elicits both fear and fascination. Almost all spiders are venomous to some degree, but only a few species pose a serious threat to humans.
I remember reading about a black widow bite. That sent someone to the hospital for weeks. That venom must be seriously powerful.
Black widow venom is definitely potent. It contains a neurotoxin called latrotoxin, which targets nerve endings, causing a massive release of neurotransmitters.
So it's like overloading the nervous system with signals.
That's a good analogy. And that overload of signals can lead to a range of symptoms, including severe pain, muscle cramps, abdominal rigidity, sweating, and even respiratory distress.
That sounds absolutely excruciating.
It can be. And the effects of latrotoxin can last for days or even weeks. In severe cases, black widow bites can lead to complications like renal failure and even death.
Black widows are definitely going on my list of creatures to avoid at all costs. What about other spiders? With venom, that causes tissue damage.
Brown recluse spiders are a prime example. Their venom contains enzymes that break down tissue, leading to necrosis or tissue death.
So it's like a flesh-eating venom.
In a sense, the venom destroys the tissue at the bite site, creating a wound that can be slow to heal and prone to infection.
That sounds awful. Are there any other spiders with similar necrotizing venom?
Some house spider species also have venom that can cause necrotic lesions, but their bites are typically less severe than those of the brown recluse.
Okay, so we've got neurotoxic spiders, like the black widow, and necrotizing spiders, like the brown recluse. What other venomous arthropods should we be on the lookout for?
Scorpions are another group that often evoke fear and caution, and for good reason. Scorpion venom is primarily neurotoxic, targeting ion channels in nerve cells, which are responsible for transmitting nerve impulses.
So it's disrupting the communication system of the nervous system.
Exactly. And that disruption can lead to a wide range of symptoms, depending on the scorpion species and the amount of venom injected.
What kind of symptoms are we talking about?
Some scorpion stings cause only localized pain and tingling at the sting site. Others can cause more severe symptoms like muscle spasms, twitching, drooling, sweating, and even paralysis.
And I'm guessing some scorpion stings can be fatal.
Yes, some species, like the deathstalker scorpion, have venom that's potent enough to be lethal, especially to children and the elderly.
Deathstalker scorpion. That name alone sends shivers down my spine. What makes their venom so dangerous?
The deathstalker scorpion's venom contains a cocktail of neurotoxins that target sodium and potassium channels. In nerve cells, these channels are essential for regulating nerve impulses. And when they're disrupted, it can lead to a cascade of problems, including heart and respiratory failure.
So it's like throwing a wrench into the electrical system of the body.
That's a good way to put it. And the consequences can be severe.
It sounds like scorpion stings are nothing to take lightly.
Definitely not. It's important to be aware of your surroundings, especially in areas where scorpions are common. And if you do get stung, seek medical attention promptly.
Okay, we've covered bees, wasps, hornets, spiders, and scorpions. That's quite a lineup of venomous arthropods. But I'm sure there are even more creatures out there. with their own unique toxins.
You're absolutely right. The diversity of animal toxins is truly astonishing, and we've only just scratched the surface.
Well, let's keep scratching. What other venomous wonders await us?
How about we venture into the world of amphibians, specifically the realm of poisonous frogs?
Poisonous frogs. Now, that's something I didn't expect.
These frogs are a fascinating example of how animals can acquire toxins from their environment rather than producing them internally.
So they're not born with the toxins, they pick them up along the way.
Exactly. Many poisonous frogs, especially those from the Dinarbatidae family, acquire their toxins from their diet, which consists primarily of ants, mites, and other small invertebrates.
So they're essentially concentrating the toxins from their prey.
That's the idea. And some of these frogs have become incredibly toxic, accumulating toxins that can be deadly to predators and, in some cases, even humans.
And you give us an example of a particularly toxic frog species.
The dart poison frog, specifically the golden dart frog, is considered to have the most potent venom of any animal on Earth.
Wow. The most potent venom on Earth. That's a serious title to hold. What makes their venom so deadly?
The golden dart frog's venom contains a powerful alkaloid called batrachotoxin. It targets sodium channels in nerve cells, causing them to remain permanently open.
So instead of disrupting nerve impulses, it completely throws off the balance.
Exactly. The constant influx of sodium ions into the nerve cells leads to uncontrollable muscle contractions, paralysis, and ultimately cardiac arrest.
That sounds terrifyingly efficient. How much batrachotoxin does it take to be lethal?
A mere 2 micrograms, which is about the size of a grain of salt, is enough to kill an adult human.
A grain of salt. That's mind-blowing.
It is, and it highlights the incredible potency of some of these naturally occurring toxins.
So I'm guessing. These dart poison frogs don't have many natural predators.
You're right. Their bright coloration serves as a warning to potential predators that they're not a safe meal.
It's like a neon sign saying, don't even think about it.
Exactly. And that warning has served them well, allowing them to thrive in their rainforest habitats.
Well, I'm definitely adding dart poison frogs to my list of creatures to admire from a safe distance. What other venomous wonders await us in the amphibian world?
While dart poison frogs are the most notorious, other frog species, like the mantella frogs of Madagascar, also possess toxins that can cause skin irritation and other unpleasant effects.
So it's not just the brightly colored frogs you need to be wary of.
That's right. Many amphibians have evolved defense mechanisms, including toxins to protect themselves from predators.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. Nature has equipped a wide range of creatures with chemical weapons.
Catching on. And our exploration of venomous animals wouldn't be complete without a foray into the reptilian world, beyond snakes, of course.
You mean there are venomous lizards out there?
You bet. And some of them are quite fascinating.
I'm all ears. Tell me more about these venomous lizards.
The Gila monster, a large, heavy-bodied lizard found in the southwestern United States and Mexico, is one of the best-known venomous lizards.
I've seen pictures of Gila monsters. They look pretty intimidating.
They can be, but they're not aggressive animals. They tend to avoid humans and only bite if provoked.
So it's a defensive venom rather than an offensive one.
Exactly. The Gila monster's venom is used primarily to deter predators.
What makes their venom unique?
Unlike snake venom, which is injected through fangs, Gila monster venom is delivered through grooves in their teeth.
So it's more of a chewing action than a quick strike.
Yes, and the venom flows from glands in their lower jaw.
That's a different approach. What kind of effects does Gila monster venom have?
Their venom is primarily a neurotoxin affecting the nervous system. It can cause pain, swelling, weakness, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting.
Sounds like a nasty cocktail.
It can be, but Gila monster bites are rarely fatal to humans.
That's good to know. Are there any other venomous lizards we should be aware of?
The beaded lizard, a close relative of the Gila monster, is also venomous and shares many of the same characteristics.
Okay, so venomous lizards, check. We've covered land-dwelling venomous creatures. But what about the ocean? Are there any venomous animals lurking beneath the waves?
Oh, the ocean is teeming with venomous creatures, from jellyfish to cone snails. The marine world is full of surprises.
Let's start with jellyfish. What makes them so venomous?
Jellyfish belong to a group called cnarians, which are characterized by specialized stinging cells called nudocytes These cells contain nematocysts, which are tiny harpoon-like structures that inject venom into prey or predators.
So it's like a microscopic arsenal of venom-filled darts.
That's a great way to describe it. And the venom of some jellyfish species can be incredibly potent.
Can you give us an example of a particularly dangerous jellyfish?
The box jellyfish, found in tropical waters around the world, is considered one of the most venomous creatures on Earth.
Another contender. For the most venomous title, what makes the box jellyfish so dangerous?
Their venom is a complex cocktail of toxins that attacks the heart, nervous system, and skin cells. It can cause excruciating pain, rapid paralysis, cardiac arrest, and death within minutes.
Minutes? That's terrifyingly fast.
It is, and what makes them even more dangerous is that they're almost transparent, making them difficult to see in the water.
So you might not even know you're in danger until it's too late.
Unfortunately, that's the case with box jellyfish.
Well, I'm definitely adding box jellyfish to my list of creatures to avoid in the ocean. What other venomous marine animals should we be aware of?
Cone snails are another group with a fascinating and potentially deadly arsenal of toxins.
Cone snails, those beautiful cone-shaped shells you find on the beach.
Yes, but don't let their beauty fool you. These snails are predatory hunters, and they use venom to subdue their prey.
How do they deliver their venom?
They have a harpoon-like structure called a radula, which they shoot out to inject venom into their victims.
Like a miniature spear gun.
Exactly. And their venom is a complex mixture of peptides, each targeting specific ion channels and receptors in the nervous system.
So it's a targeted attack, disrupting specific functions within the body.
Precisely. And some cone snail venoms are so potent that they can cause paralysis, respiratory failure, and death in humans.
Wow. Those seemingly harmless shells pack a serious punch.
They do, and it's a reminder that even the most beautiful creatures can possess hidden dangers.
Well, this has been an incredible journey through the world of animal toxins so far. We've covered everything from venomous snakes and spiders to poisonous frogs and deadly jellyfish. It's amazing how evolution has produced such a diverse array of chemical weapons.
It is a testament to the power of natural selection and the constant struggle for survival in the natural world.
It makes you realize that we humans are just one small part of this intricate web of life.
Absolutely. And speaking of that web, let's head back to Sri Lanka to learn more about the treatments available for snake bites and how we can better coexist with these fascinating creatures.
Sounds like a plan. Let's dive into part 3. Welcome back to the deep dive. It's amazing to think we share the planet with so many creatures that possess these incredible and sometimes terrifying chemical weapons.
It really makes you appreciate the power of evolution and the diversity of life on Earth. And speaking of diversity, let's shift our focus back to Sri Lanka, where we left off discussing the serious issue of snake bites.
You know, after learning about all these different venoms, I have to ask, what can be done to treat a venomous snake bite?
Well, that's where antivenom comes in. It's a life-saving treatment that's been around for over a century.
Antivenom, I've heard of that. But how does it actually work?
Think of antivenom as a targeted missile system. For venom, it's essentially a serum that contains antibodies, specifically designed to neutralize the venom's toxins.
Antibodies, aren't those the things our immune system produces to fight off infections?
Exactly. But in the case of antivenom, the antibodies are produced in animals, typically horses or sheep.
So how do they get the animals to produce antibodies against snake venom?
It's a fascinating process. The animals are injected with small, non-lethal doses of snake venom over time.
So it's like a vaccine, but for venom.
That's a great analogy. The venom triggers the animal's immune system to produce antibodies against the venom's toxins.
And then those antibodies are extracted from the animal's blood and used to create antivenom.
Precisely. The blood is collected, and the antibodies are separated and purified, resulting in a concentrated antivenom serum.
So when someone is bitten by a venomous snake, the antivenom gives their body a boost of pre-made antibodies to fight off the venom.
That's right. The antibodies in the antivenom bind to the venom's toxins, neutralizing them and preventing them from causing further damage.
It's like providing the body with a shortcut to fighting off the venom.
Exactly. And it's important to administer antivenom as soon as possible after a snake bite to maximize its effectiveness.
So time is of the essence.
Absolutely. The sooner the antivenom is administered, the better the chances of preventing serious complications.
Antivenom sounds like a miracle cure, but are there any challenges or limitations associated with it?
That's an important question. And yes, there are a few challenges. One is the specificity of antivenom. Each antivenom is typically effective against the venom of a specific species or group of closely related snake species.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Unfortunately, no. You need to know the type of snake that caused the bite to administer. The correct antivenom?
Then what happens if you don't know the type of snake?
That's where things get tricky. Doctors have to rely on the clinical symptoms and the geographical location to make an educated guess.
That sounds like a high-stakes guessing game.
It can be, especially in areas with a high diversity of venomous snakes, like Sri Lanka.
Are there any other challenges associated with antivenom?
Another challenge is the potential for adverse reactions. Some people can experience allergic reactions to the animal proteins in the antivenom.
So it's not a risk-free treatment.
No treatment is completely risk-free, but the benefits of antivenom far outweigh the risks in the case of a venomous snake bite.
It's amazing to think that something so potentially deadly can also be used to save lives.
That's the paradox of nature. Sometimes the most dangerous substances can also have incredible medicinal properties.
Well, I'm definitely feeling a lot more informed
Yeah.
about the world of animal toxins and the treatments available. It's been a fascinating and eye-opening journey.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, knowledge is power when it comes to appreciating and respecting the venomous creatures that share our planet.
So the next time you see a snake, a spider, or even a jellyfish, take a moment to admire its beauty and complexity, but also remember to give it the respect it deserves.
Well said.
On that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay curious.